Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to talk about how to win on CT Side Inferno. The main thing I'm looking at when it comes to Inferno is varying up your playstyle, keeping your opponents guessing, and really forcing them to use utility and waste time dealing with aggressive plays that you could be making, but they don't really know on this round. Changing up the playstyle makes things very easy on this map if you keep your opponents on their toes, especially because there are several angles on this map you can't really hold on to if the T side puts the right amount of pressure and focus. The best examples of both of those are really banana and mid. Neither of these areas are places you can really hold on to if your opponent expects you to be there and they hard clear it. Mid especially, it's just an area where they can smoke off one side quite easily, use some utility, and try and push you off the other. Banana, it's a tight choke point, but there's not too many areas for the CTs to be playing, which means with the right utility, the Ts can pretty easily take it as well. What you want to be doing is making sure you put enough pressure that they waste, again, time and utility taking it, and you can get some utility damage done back onto them, because these are choke points here on banana and towards top of middle as well. So when it comes to playing over towards banana side, if you're playing with a team, a lot of the time you're looking at some heavy aggressive kind of push all the way down plays to really set up in their mind that you're going to be going aggressive and waste their time on rounds that you're not. One of the ways you can do that is this flash here. This is just a setup flash that can be very effective, even if you're solo, to throw for teammates. You tell them to push banana. These flashes are going to land behind your teammates, but in front of your opponents. And if one player throws that, the other players can very simply toss a smoke towards bottom banana. You can toss a molly that bounces off here as well. Didn't quite throw that one correctly. Tosses off right about there as well to land deep in banana. And you can also toss one that lands near the middle as well. You kind of just wait for a moment with those flashes coming behind, and you can push all the way down, even nade off the wall at the back there to nade anybody waiting at the top T stairs on the other side of that smoke. And if you put this type of aggression in, it's going to be very tough for your opponents to deal with. Then another round you can come back, and instead of going for the full aggression, you just toss that smoke down towards the bottom of banana. You can toss the molly as well, and they'll have to worry and consider that you could be all the way down banana and retake it as if you were. So that type of variance in gameplay is incredibly important. However, if you are playing alone, one of the things I would recommend you doing is sometimes playing around here towards top banana. Again, if you play here consistently, they're going to be able to deal with you, but you can do something like play towards sandbags here, which used to be a very common angle, but nowadays is not really cleared out that effectively. Playing this headshot angle here, trying to get a couple of kills, and just make them worried about it. Make sure the next time they come back around, they have to molly it out and they have to be afraid. The other thing you can definitely be doing, especially if your opponents don't molly corner, which a lot of players or a lot of teams don't, especially in matchmaking or pugs, you can have one player sit near corner and the other player toss a flash like this for this player on corner to catch the Ts as they come up. Most Ts are starting to realize at this point that once you get banana control, you want a guy playing anti-flash to wait for that type of thing, but more often than not, they're very lazy, especially again in pugs, when they get just over to here initially, clearing these angles out without anybody really aware that a flash could come through. And if you find that timing, you're going to really punish them and make them very scared about coming back to B. On the mid side, what you're usually looking at is an opper posted up on an angle like this, trying to make sure that he can get a shot off if they do pressure towards top mid, and you're using your smokes generally at whenever pressure is coming in, just to try and delay them and push them back. If there is a smoke down, usually the Ts won't necessarily try to push through it. However, they certainly can, and it can be a little bit tough to deal with. Just need to be confident, and if they're starting to do that, you can very well do something like tripling up on truck and really punish them for it. A triple up on truck usually looks like something of a player up on towards the top of quad, a player below. Usually have this player up top playing anti-flash, because if he does get blind, he's in the middle of the open, so you have him playing anti-flash. This player down below is holding, and if he gets blind, he has a little bit of cover to play behind. You have the third player posted up here, and you basically say, you know, we hope they come for mid control because our rotate is far away. The arch play isn't all that really dangerous, because you do have a player up here that will see over any truck side smoke and kill their arch player. The other thing you can be doing on truck side as well is this this boost up here that can pretty easily net a rifler a free kill on any players coming out through boiler, or more relevantly to my initial comment that you want to be trying to vary up your aggression, retaking middle is very strong. You want to be trying to contest middle as much as possible for as long as possible, but once they hard take middle, they really use their utility to push you off. You don't want to try and overfight, but you don't want to give it up forever. If the T side has top banana control and top middle control, they can't necessarily hold on to both of those very effectively. Usually one of their holds will be quite weak, and they may have actually rotated off very quickly, because once they have both controls, they've pushed you into a spot where you're not very comfortable, and they want to go for an execute on whichever bomb site is weaker. For that reason, especially when it comes to matchmaking and pugs, doing something like mollying off top middle shortly after they take control, waiting for the molly to go down, and having a teammate toss a flash for you to re-peek into mid, this can be incredibly effective because it gets you that information as to whether or not they're there. If they're not, you can freely rotate off to the other bomb site, and if they are, very likely when it comes to pugs, they're not posted up and ready for this type of play. Now, if you're playing with coordinated opponents, something you still can get very good success done with is the op peek out over here. The op is, you're going to be moving a little bit slower, but it's tough to deal with, and very rarely are teams actually fully ready and able to deal with that op re-aggression unless they are coming this direction. If they are, they might have 4 players waiting around the corner, but as long as you have some support, especially a Molotov ready to be tossed down, it certainly can work as well. Again, I'm putting so much emphasis on this aggressive style of play because once you get back into the bomb sites here, things are pretty easy and straightforward. Playing crossfires in towards the site here on A site is not very hard. As long as you're playing a player in sight and a player in pit, you should be in a pretty good spot. The only thing to mention is that usually you don't want to be playing this angle here in pit if you don't have a smoke. Usually the apartments player would be the one falling back here, and very often you're going to get mollied off, so you need to make sure you have a smoke. You can drop it down, and you can play a bit of a one-way in here. It's not perfect if you throw it too close to yourself. It's not 100% perfect, but they can't see you at all, and you can very easily see them from time to time, depending on their angles, and get a glimpse, get a kill, and really put a lot of pressure on them as you have players in sight just trying to get some pressure as well. On this B side, things get a little bit different. Usually you're going to be seeing players trying to play back here. Again, conserving those smokes as long as possible here on this B site, because if you have a smoke down when they go for an execute, the execute starts coming out, you toss down that smoke, you do something like flash behind yourself to get through their smoke, and you play out here, there's almost no way for them to deal with you. So if you can be in that situation, that is very much optimal, and that's again part of the reason that this aggressive kind of play is so important, because if they take a long time to take banana, then you don't have to toss this smoke down until very late. The later you have to toss it down, the better. If you're looking at a situation where you have no smokes, very often B is just going to be incredibly difficult to hold, but you're looking at spots like New box, you're looking at spots like first oranges, especially in crossfires, with some utility thrown for support. Things like a flash off of the wall here that can be used to blind your opponents and peek behind it while not necessarily blinding a teammate if he's playing a spot like this. That's really what you're looking at. But again, you want to prime yourself to be in good spots here early so that later on in the round, your opponents don't have great execs, you have good reads on what they're doing, and you can easily rotate over and lock it down. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.